Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the live stream. Make sure I got my collar on to give my authority to be here. So, hope you're all doing well on another cold and wet, Sunday. You can't make its mind up where I am. But well done for being here. Tonight I don't have American football. Obviously, it's Super Sunday. The Super Bowl is at 11:30 tonight. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. But keeping us company tonight in my eye line is the Winter Olympics. And it's the ladies' women's big air qualifying. That's what they're saying. So they're going to go ski down or snowboard down, hit a ramp as this lady's doing, spinning, and then go on a steep bank and stay up. Unbelievable. That's a gift in itself. And so here, as always, to chat and see where this goes. I've had a haircut this week. You can see that there. I haven't had a haircut for 2 months. It's the beginning of December. And I thought I need to get out. And so I went and had a haircut. And that was on Thursday. And where I get a haircut, it's about half an hour away. And I had to go on my motorbike. I was soaked. I was so cold. It was ridiculous. When I get back, and the house here, as I've mentioned before, is quite cold. And I don't put the heating on when I'm here by myself, so I put a heated blanket around me and warmed up that way. But yeah, so that's one of the things I've been doing this week. We'll go through the chat and we'll chat away. What else has been doing? For once on this Sunday morning, I have had a day off for do the 8 a.m. Our associate priest did the 8 a.m. But I know that for the next, for the next about 4 or 5 weeks, I'm doing the 8 a.m. So, I will be up early and saying I have been doing the 8 a.m. But today I was only leading, wasn't preaching. We're going through a sermon series on the Psalms, which is really lovely at the moment. Getting into those bit different from being in the Gospels. And so we're doing a sermon series on the Psalms, and we're doing a sermon series on the Psalms that goes through into Lent, because the Psalms offer themselves so beautifully into Lent as well. So that's so it's been a bit of a quiet day. It's been a quieter day today. So, what else? Haircut. Oh, big news. I'll update that about my trip around Europe. I'll do that in a bit, just to keep you on edge. But welcome to this Sunday evening. Let's see what people are saying. Good evening, Cara. Good evening, Zoe. Good evening, Someone25. Good evening, Dorothy. Good evening, myself. For Wayfarer, good morning. Good morning. You need rain. Yeah, we will send you rain. We'll package it up and send it over. I think that we're sick and tired of the rain. Good evening, Francis. Cara says, poor Wayfarer, there's plenty of rain here in Ulster. I think there's plenty of rain all across. Up in Worcester, where I grew up, near where I grew up, is it's flooded, absolutely flooded. I didn't realise there was that much rain falling. And so we're complaining, but they got it really badly. And send some down to Oz. We would send it, we will pray for rain to go from the UK, as long as you send us some sun and heat. That'd be lovely. Someone25, your jumper is lovely colour. Your haircut too, yeah. So I've been wearing my blue jumper for the past couple of months. So I used to not wear a jumper, but it's so cold in the house at the moment. So I got all the same Marks and Spencer. My wife likes these Marks and Spencer. So got a red one. Is this red? Burnt orange. Burnt orange sounds nice. The blue one and a green one as well. It's quite funny. Before I got this, I've ended up with just by circumstance 4 green jumpers. So every jumper that I was wearing was green. Everyone thought my favorite color was green. It wasn't. It was just that's what people kept buying me. So I had all these green jumpers. So but it's a nice color. But I've only got one shirt left. I'm running out of shirts. So my black shirt, the what do you call it? I'm trying to think. The button fell off on my, and I lost it on my sleeve. I know there's spare buttons as well, but it's sewing them. And I think another button's fallen off. My grey shirt around the back, it's just got all stained. It's just still stained around the collar. So I can't really, well, I can't wear it at church. I could wear it online because it's around the back. So this is my last shirt. I need to get shirts. It's one of those first world problems for a vicar. But that's why I'm always wearing my blue shirt at the moment. I do wear my black shirt when I do my daily devotionals. That's the thing. See, I can wash my blue shirt, but when I do my daily devotionals, and if I ain't got a head and I'm recording one, then I need to wash my blue shirt. Then I put my black shirt on, but that's okay because I don't wave my hands around in my daily devotionals. And where the button has come off, on the front, it's below the camera line. See, it's all about where the camera is. So I need to get some more shirts. That's the one thing that I need to do. What else did I do? I went for a run. I tried to go for a run last Monday. It didn't work. My ankle was not liking it. The trouble is, since I did my ankle in 2 months ago, I piled on weight. So as I go to run, there's more weight on the ankle as well. So I couldn't really do that. So instead, I've started to do indoor rowing. I've thrown in the towel of thinking that I'm ever going to get outside for the next month or so. So I started indoor rowing, which is very good actually. I do like it as much as I didn't want to do it. I do like it. It's quite challenging. God, you do. It's interval. I'm doing interval. See, and so row a certain time or a certain distance, and then have a rest and repeat. Row and repeat. Row and repeat. Row, rest, repeat. Row, rest, repeat. And so I think I'm about a month away from being able to run outside, but hopefully by that point, the weather should be good, and it'll be great to run outside once again. So, Paul Wayfarer, do I have jumpers in liturgical colours? No. Well, green, yeah. The green ones, they last the whole of Trinity. So this year, that's from May to November. So that's probably why I got so many green shirts. This could be the red one for Easter. Is it Easter? I need a purple one for Lent and Advent. And a white one. That's the other one. Or gold. Gold would be better, wouldn't it? Or yellow. Yellow one would be good. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that should be the challenge and just go wear liturgical colours for. That would be fun. Psalm 25. As Racial Justice Sunday service earlier, Bishop Loser of Willesden spoke, as well as Anderson Jemiah Bishop at Edmonton. Read at Pentecost. That's it. Thank you very much. I forgot when it was. I was like, when is it? It's not Easter. Easter's white. And Christmas is white. When it was, yeah, forgot about Pentecost. Psalm 125. How was that? Because I did that video about that kind of including anti-racism, which, to be honest, I would say every Christian, but most Christians know if you really confess that Jesus is Lord, receive the Holy Spirit, that comes naturally after all that anti-racism. So yeah, how was that? Ankara, Lent is soon. Lent is very soon. Maybe I should get my purple jumper. I don't know if they sell many purple jumpers. That could be a challenge to say that. I mean, Lent in our parish starts with our Lent lunches. So on the 20th of February, we have our Lent lunches in our parish hall, which is what we call our reading room, and they set it up as a cafe, and we have a choice of 4 or 5 lunches, and it's always really popular. We also do deliveries out to the businesses as well. So if you are close, and I know Francis, you can come to the Lent lunches. You should come along. It's over lunchtime. the first week I'm out. Well, I'm there, but I'm delivering. And what I do, I'm quite cheeky, because I go into the kitchen and have a taste of each. Instead of just sitting down and guessing on the menu, oh, that looks nice, I'll have that. And to be honest, all the soups are really good anyway. I call it Rector's Rights, where I get to taste test and then take my favourite that I want. Actually, to be fair, it might not be my favourite. It might be that I just want that one. So, and that's what I say as well, because it doesn't want to, don't want to come across that I got favourites. That won't be right. Cara says, you can't be racist if you believe in the gospel. That's the thing. You can't be racist. And if people were actually a racist once they come to Christ, that would be one of the biggest witnesses that they're Jesus in their life, that they wouldn't be racist anymore. So, exactly. Paul Reverend, I enjoyed your video on preaching the gospel versus causes. Thank you very much. Well, a lot of this comes naturally, and I don't know what. Sometimes I know as I said in the video, I know in their hearts what they have good intentions, but the answer always comes back to preaching the gospel and changing people's lives and getting them to truly believe and receive the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit will change the person from the inside out. And that's so important, because we try to change them from the outside in, but he will change them from the inside out. And so I just wish people would just get on that track and say, let's preach the gospel and get people to really believe that Jesus is their Lord and Savior, and then watch everything else change. Mr. Baker, evening. All evening, Dan, evening. Thank the Lord for what he does for us. This winter would otherwise be depressing, what with the weather and the news cycle. Yeah, we talked about the weather and the rain, but the news cycle is quite depressing as well. But this, what I say that I say to a lot of people with this thing, with all the news, with whatever it is, and it's going to be bad, especially when it's news. They don't do too many good news stories. The Bible tells us that the world is broken, so we shouldn't be surprised at these stories. If people don't know Jesus in their lives, these things will still keep happening. Now, we can be shocked, absolutely. Some of the things we can be absolutely shocked. The Epstein files and all what's coming out of there, and I can't believe, what I find shocking on all that. Again, I'm not surprised, but I am shocked that there's so much uproar, quite rightly, about the Epstein files coming out, but not. Why didn't we see the outrage of all those young girls that were gang raped as well? That's in the UK. Where was the outrage in the social media, in the media for that? So all the news is a product, as it were, of what they're reporting of a fallen world. And that's for us to counteract that and change people's lives by preaching the gospel. Because people who truly are Christians, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking, I got to remember. I'll have to hold my finger so I remember. But people who are truly Christians, that they won't do these things. And so that's what we have to do. So what's the finger for? Well, I was driving my son back from Hatfield, and I was on the motorway, and I was coming off the junction down the slip road, and a car cut in front of me. So I just tooted along, car cut in front of me. It was like, oh, okay, thanks. And then we went up the slip road. There's another car in front, and fair enough, the car in front they were slowing down way too much at the slip road. They looked like they were confused where they were going, but the car in front of me got very close, started flashing the lights, and they were driving like aggressively, right? Got to the traffic lights, fine. Turn right. The car that was slowing down was obviously lost, because they came off to go back on themselves at the M25. And so I saw this car go off in front of me. I was now another car behind. And I thought, oh, this guy's just driving like a, maniac in one way or another. And then we went past a church and it drove into the church. And I was like, what? I had in mind I was like, shall I go into that church car park and say, mate, look, the way you were driving was not of a Christian at all. And I mean, it wasn't. It really surprised me how they went in. Now, I know the church and I know the service was going to happen maybe 15. It was either they were 15 minutes early or maybe even 45. If they were 45, they could have been part of the perhaps worship band. I don't know. And then I was like, oh, no, I let it go. I need to get home. But you see what I mean? It's like when people are, I'm not saying they're not Christian. They just need to learn how to drive. But let's treat that as a side story. I saw in a paper, and it was a guy who drugged his wife to sexually abuse her, or drugged his wife so he could go. I didn't read the article, but he could go and sexually abuse young people. And it started off Christian man or something like that, Christian something. And I was like, he's not Christian. He's not Christian. He might go to church and he might play the game and stuff, but no way is he Christian. A Christian does not do that. A full Bible believing Christian does not do that. And they put Christian drugged wife. And I was like, they're not Christian. They are not Christian. And we have to call these things out. Those who say they're Christian and don't live that way, they need to be challenged. And for all the news cycle, we need to say it is depressing, but that's the opportunity for the gospel and the things with all the Epstein files and all that's going on. If they were truly Christian, that's a moral of the story. If they were ever truly Christian or became Christian, they would not do what they did, for sure. So, Psalm 125, I was the only white person there, which I thought was very sad. Oh, that was at the racial justice service. That is very sad. That is very sad, actually. Philip Shepherd, I've filled my application to join the electoral roll this morning. Evangelicals rock the PCC. Wow, there you go. PCC, the electoral roll, and you're going to go on the PCC at the APCM. That'd be good. Billy's craft room, put a finger down if, then add a question. I need, just forget, I will forget. Evening, Russell and Valerie. Oh, well done. Well done. Honestly, if you knew my memory, that's a very good pat on the back for me. It's like, well done for remembering the name, Dan. That's a major part of your job. I know that's good, isn't it? But his crafting sounds like maybe you were a Sunday Christian, people who were only Christian while inside the church building. That's a challenge. And you know what, though? And I say this because we can get a bit cynical about people who would go, well, you're only here on a Sunday and you don't really live your life out. Well, at least they're there. At least they're hearing the gospel. At least they're in the building, because many, many people aren't. And we can get more annoyed at people being there and say, well, you're just a cultural Christian or you're Sunday Christian. But they're there. They're there. So something might change. Richard, I led a study yesterday on prayer and fasting with Lent in mind. I encourage people to practice these disciplines with the world situation in mind. Can share resources if you're interested. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how we do that, whether it's in the chat or somehow. But yes, that would be good going into Lent. I was speaking about this. So, that's it on Thursday. See, I was like at the beginning, what have I done this week? So in my theological college, when I left, there's 3 other guys, and we said we would meet 3 or 4 times a year. And we met up in Cambridge. So one of them's up in Cambridge at Holy Trinity in Cambridge, which is Simeon's old church. And then it's gone out of my mind why I was going to say that. Oh yes, that's God, I'm having a bad night. And so he went up and we was chatting about things, and I was talking about the online ministry, and I said it's coming to a time now where I talk about the faithful remnant, and it's talked about a bit of meat on the bones, and what does that look like, and becoming something. It's quite interesting in the Church of England what you can and can't do. So I can't do anything official because you're not allowed to do that. But it can become a fellowship, where we can pray together, where we can meet, where we can share resources. And I think that's the next situation, and it'll be called something, and it'll start building that way, where we can support, and especially support people who are in churches where they need support, where they feel lonely, where we can say, you're not alone. We are here with you. Or even if you're in a big church and it's very evangelical, trad Catholic, or in a denomination which you don't want to leave, but you want to hold fast, then it becomes a fellowship of support. So that's the next step. That's what's going to happen. But nothing like official, like a society or anything like that, because that would just not be good for me at the moment. So what else? Where have we got to? Francis Epstein, who wanted the final syllable pronounced "een" rather than "ein" because he thought "een" made him sound Jewish. Jacob Epstein, sculpture was Jewish, and definitely name was pronounced with "ein." Yeah, well, when it's written in a newspaper and you don't know, or online, you just say it how you probably have heard it. Epstein, yeah, you're right. Actually, Epstein. Everyone said Epstein. Richard, John Wesley talked about real Christianity, which he defined as holiness of heart and life. Yes, massively, and he did those questions, which were quite challenging. I remember having them on my wall in Curacy above my computer, just to the left-hand side, up just there, and I would read them, and it was a kind of a view of the day and where we are. Psalm 125, a friend once said that your Christianity flies out the window when you get behind the steering wheel. It does, you know. I try to teach myself to bless rather than get annoyed, you know. Especially when people in the car with you, they truly see who you truly are in your heart. So if you're there blessing, then people can see who you truly are. But you're right, absolutely. Jacob was American but gained citizenship in about 1910. Oh, okay, for the yeah. British craft room. We were talking about liturgical colours earlier. I wanted to ask if there were any significance to the colours of shirt you wear, your clerical colour, some are grey, etc. I think as evangelicals got into a while wearing blue. My training coming always wore blue all the time, blue, and we convinced him to get some different coloured shirts, so he did in the end. So they're not just really what people like, I suppose. I don't think I would have a green shirt. I don't think I could pull that off. Maybe I could, but I don't think that'd be a first choice. I've chosen blue, grey, black, little light blue. I've had dark blue. It's just to mix it up. But then trad Catholics and other denominations will have black. Just wear black all the time, unless you become a bishop, and then you can get to wear purple. But yeah, so the colours for me are just what colours there are. And last time I bought my shirts, they were on a deal, three for X amount of pounds, whatever it was. So I just chose 3 different colours. So, Paul Wayfaber, can we claim that any Christian who stumbles that they are not really Christians? No, not stumbles. You're right there. That's a good challenge. I mean, the way they constantly live their life, like drugging your wife, that would be a real to go and sexually abuse children, that would be a red flag that I wouldn't say they're Christian. But stumbling, we all stumble. So yeah, I agree with that. Mr. Baker, anyone fasting for Lent? Oh, well, we could do a poll. Should we do a poll? It says engage with your audience. Start a question and answer. Start a poll. Are you fasting for Lent? I have to check that I spelled fasting right, because it could be ended up disastrous and then ended up on the internet as a joke. So, but I got it right. Zoe, oh, I didn't realize you're supposed to keep it secret. I'm only 6 months into my faith, but I know now. Keep what secret? Oh, you'll have to remind me. My church pastor used to get mega road rage. I'm not saying like those things don't make you Christian, but it was surprising me. Like I suppose I take that guy in the car, or girl or lady, it could be a lady, that is not a witness. Like, if I wasn't a Christian and I saw this person driving in that way and flashing lights at me and being right up my bumper, and then they drove into a church, that would not be a witness. It would it'd be quite a negative thing. So, yeah. So, I think that's where I come from. I always see things as witnessing. I'm such an evangelist at heart. But it's crafting. When people used to target me, I used to think, man, they are in a hurry to die. Yeah. I when I was young, though, I used to tailgate in the country lanes when people used to go really slowly. I think about that. It's crazy. Young and stupid. That's why there's so many crashes for young people. But luckily I got older and repented of those silly ways. Richard would be happy to share a bit of stuff on fasting on here, but not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure how. I don't, unless it's on like a Google Drive and you share the link and so that link is accessible for people to view. I think that might be one way. Bailey's classroom. So it's personal preference rather than a sign of rank like a Star Trek. Oh, I don't know what that means. I'm lost, Billy. Oh, yes. Yes, sorry. Shirts. Yeah, it's personal preference. Yeah. Yeah. And it's about the collars as well. You know, some people have little collar. I think I prefer collar. I think I like the collar like this. On my black shirt, the collar's a bit wider. Like, I have to look where I am. A bit. And I don't like it as much. You got the ones that go all the way around the neck, ones that kind of you can see clip in with a bit of black there. This is my style. I don't think I could do around the neck one. I don't know. Maybe I could. Mr. Baker, remember, folks, Ash Wednesday is a good time to get a confession. If you do confession, I always say Ash Wednesday, and I got to remind people, it's not just the giving up of chocolates and crisps and stuff like that you do, or even taking things up now, which people do. It's the thing that or things, but hopefully but it will be things, or something that you would never tell anybody else, but God knows. That's the thing to really give up. And imagine every Lent being able to strike one of those off. That would be amazing. Simon, do you think sexual ethics in churches will die out, or is there... Do I think sexual ethics in churches will die out, or is there revival? Just clear that one up for me. I think sexual ethics will always be in church. A revival of sexual ethics? Just clear that question for me. I'm not quite sure on that. Mr. Baker, I'll do a daytime fast for Lent. So what is it at the moment? On my other chat thing, it's a 17 people, 17 votes. And I think a third, is that right? A third are going to fast for Lent. Let me end poll and see, because I can't see it on that one. Yep. A third aren't going to, and a third are, and 2/3 aren't. Oh, okay. Yeah. It depends what kind of, if it's daytime, if it's a whole day. I think we need to fast. I think that's one thing we don't do in the church as well now, is fast. But fasting is a very good discipline and quite healthy for the body as well. So they do all those fasting, don't they? They got lots of fasting apps because they go, oh well, actually this is good, and it's said, well, Christians always have known this is good. Keep fasting in secret, Dan, says Zoe. Yes, you're right. Don't look sullen. Yeah, you can wear it as a badge of honor, really, can't you? Nick, heard an interesting tidbit on why bishops wear purple from Bishop Barham. The colour stems from the colour of Roman senatorial robes, as it is their own role to govern the church. It's also it's also a colour back then, which wasn't easy to get. So purple was seen as for royalty as well. It was a hard colour to make at the time. So it's very much to royalty, and that's why the Romans had it. And the govern, yeah. So they kept the colour, but they didn't carry on governing. Mr. Baker, we can share our fasting intentions here. Just don't plaster it on social media and shout out, "Hey, I'm fasting," across the office, or get angry at people because you're hungry. That's it. You're hungry. Cara, keep fasting in secret. Yeah, absolutely. You do, especially with those. It's keeping it between you and God. And when those times where you really want to eat, or you're feeling those hunger pangs, that's when you say, God, that's when you send up a little prayer. Lord, help me. I really am hungry. And it's not that you might not eat. It's how you react to people, if there are other people there. If you get hungry, that's the key. Is still be your pleasant and happy self in those situations. So he says, yeah, I can't see how it's bad to talk to fellow Christians about fasting as long as you're not doing it to score points. Yeah. And not fasting to lose weight. That is a great point. It's healthy. It helps the body recover. And, that's why fasting was always there as well. It's not like that God didn't know. But we can tend to want to score points for ourselves on it, which is absolutely not the reason. JKK, how do you think Christian parents should respond if they were to find their teenage children looking at pornography? Gentleness, introducing internet filters, going hard, or something differently? I think it's a journey, and helping them understand the many evils of it and the detrimental effect that it has as well. So there's walking with them. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be punishment. You lost access to the internet. You've lost access to the phone. I would want to find out if it's them that they're doing it themselves, or if they're doing it with their mates and they're just discovering, because a lot of people do it for discovery and they want to know. But speaking to them about the dangers, about the effects of pornography on them and sexual habits and their sexual life in the future, especially erectile dysfunction and things like that, which is now proven amongst young people. Talking about how I've heard this at secondary schools, where boys have been watching hardcore porn and then reenacting that on young girls, not knowing really what they're doing, and those young girls being damaged and ended up in hospital. Some recover, but some have damage, and that's a danger. Also, speaking to them about the what you're watching there is two people, a man and a woman, and it's usually the woman which will be perhaps being drugged as well, or is reliant on drugs, who is a daughter of God and is somebody's daughter. Might have been brought up in a broken family as well, but is another human being made in the image of God, who, had those circumstances been different, wouldn't have made the choice to go and do that. And bring the humanity and the sadness of why that's happened. There's I think there's so much there from, yes, disciplining them, but also walking with them with gentleness, talking about the factual, scientific facts, which is now coming out about sexual damage, erectile dysfunction, reliance on porn, the detrimental effect of that on relationships, and also the other side of that these people they wouldn't be doing that. Who would want to do that? I know some people will want to do that and make a choice, but I don't think all those people would. So, and walk with them, don't push them away, and don't make it so that they go and hide and try to do it, which they will. Russell or Valerie, how do you get on your church's PCC? Well, you sign up to get yourself on the electoral roll, but you need to be on your electoral roll for 6 months before you can go onto the PCC, which isn't a disaster if your PCC isn't full. So you'll have so many places to get onto the PCC. So say your PCC's got 9 places and there are only 7 people go on at the APCM, then you can go on as what they call a casual vacancy in between. APCMs obviously happen every year, but if you've been on there for 6 months, at the APCM you get 2 people to sponsor you, a first, or recommend you, a first and a seconder, and you put that in. And if there's enough vacancies, so if there's 4 vacancies and 3 positions, you're automatically on. But if there's 4 vacancies and 5 people going for it, then there's a vote. So it's get yourself on the electoral roll, which I think you have. And then if you've been on there 6 months, just get 2 people who are already on the electoral roll to first and second you. And then at the APCM, you can go on. If not, speak to your incumbent and say, my 6 months is past, in like September. If there's a vacancy, I would love to come onto the PCC as a casual vacancy. So you're on there until the next APCM, and basically the PCC just agree to allow you on. So that's how. Poor Wayfarer, I give up alcohol for Lent. When I first became a Christian, I gave up chocolate, I gave up cake, I gave up biscuits, I gave up alcohol, I gave up coffee. I just did it. And I didn't even do it for 40 days. I did it for 46 days. That was so good. But now, I might give it alcohol. Remember, we don't do it on Sunday because it's the Lord's Day and we don't deny ourselves on the Lord's Day. Definitely chocolate and things I will give up. Billy's Classroom. You didn't live in an area where there were likely to be horses in the country lanes. I saw a car where someone had got too close to a horse, and let's just say the horse won. Give horses space, or they won't, or they will win. It's interesting, when I went to Colombia and we went horse riding last summer in the country lanes, and the cars and bikes coming past, those horses, and then it was like narrow lanes. Those horses were so used to cars and things like that just going past. They were so chilled out. It was completely different. to here, where you have to give like 2 meters. There were, yeah, it was interesting. Or the horses. Oh, I see. Or the horses will kick the car to pieces. I can imagine how much a horse would kick a car, how much damage that would do. Wow. Zoe, I just read Matthew 6:16, and it doesn't say don't speak about it. It says it seems to be pointing, not bragging or looking hard done by. Yeah, but people speak about it in such a way. That's the thing. That it comes across as bragging. Simon, I mean, Joe Mamby, conservatives having a hard time in the EDK mainline. So I just wanted to ask how the situation is in the UK. Oh, okay. So the German conservatives having a hard time in the EDK mainline. I'm not quite sure what the context is, but if anyone can help me, that would be great to help Simon, to answer Simon. We'll circle back to that. Billy's Grass Boom. I'll give my specific actions or habits for Lent, but my health isn't great, so cutting out food is not wise for me. Absolutely. Well done. Got to be wise in those things. Psalm 125, my Vicky gives up chocolate for Lent. Yeah, it's those external things are good in one way, and and if it's really a hard thing to do, because what you want is by week 2, 3, 4, to really be suffering, and so you're saying to God, please help. You don't want to do something really, well, you do, but you really want to use that time where you can come closer to God. And if you're like, I really just want to start, I just need to eat this, or I need to do that, then you go to God in prayer. Then you withdraw and just, Lord, help me. And when he comes to help you and takes that temptation away, that's when you really know, wow, you're hearing me, and your faith deepens, and that's the beauty of Lent. Lester, I usually go at tea and coffee for Lent, but I don't eat all that much done. Yeah, but I do fast for Good Friday. It's thinking, but also, like I said as well, it's that thing that you would never write on here. You would never write. That's what you got to give up. That thing you would be absolutely horrified if people found out. That's what you got to. You say, I'm not doing that. God, this is between me and you. I'm not giving up. Billy's graphing. Lapis lazuli, that creates blue and purple, were both pigments that were really expensive, and why they were only owned by those who had a lot of wealth. There you go. The craft room person will know this and the name. That's amazing. Simon, and what are your thoughts on biblical authority? And what are your thoughts on biblical authorship critics? But isn't it on the 18th of February? Ash Wednesday is on the 18th of February. Yeah. But our Lent lunches, if that's what you were talking about, starts on the 20th of February. My thoughts on biblical authorship critics. Well, it depends on. I suppose we're all critics, in one way or another. Do you mean the real negative ones where they say this is not what was truly said, what was truly going on? This is actually wasn't written at that time. I think if that's the case, I think there's far too much evidence out there to say the accuracy of the Gospels and the of what we have now, and when and where they were written and what's included is now beyond proof in that sense, because we got so many fragments to prove how accurate everything is. So the people who try to deny it, I think that what's the point? But they still will do that. But then we get to, what do different things mean? Well, it depends how they are criticized, and some bring actually good things, how they look at different things, I was speaking to this about this the other day to somebody. With all our baggage and where we come from, we will look at the Bible and interpret it in a different way with our context, and that can be quite helpful sometimes, because you're hearing someone else's context being brought in, and it might help to understand that we've never seen before, to see something. It might help us to understand something that we've never seen before, and that's a good thing as long as it stays biblical. But anything that is outside that, it's a waste of time, and we need to be very careful. We also need to we need to learn who are the ones, the biblical critics, we need to stay away from. JKK, I'm extremely sensitive to being hungry, so it would likely be worse witness. Yeah, exactly. Roman Sunshine Lady, Roman Catholics are good at fasting, Rev Dan. Since you married a Colombian lady, maybe she can inform you about a lot of its rituals. Yes, she didn't really a faster, my wife, I would say, and I would say she's always going to be Roman Catholic at heart, but she's been in a Anglican church probably longer than she was a Roman Catholic now, but that's another conversation. Zoe, yeah, I got too fat as I've got older, so probably fast more, good old metabolism. Yeah, well, that's one of the things. Lent's come around for a good time for me as I'm trying to shift my weight and to get my exercise. But eating less bad stuff and doing exercise is a good thing. So it's after Lent, that's the problem, isn't it? We indulge. It's what Easter Day with all those chocolate eggs and stuff like that. JKK, Naked Truth Project are excellent in terms of educating school students. I never heard of Naked Truth Project. I'll have to look. Plenty of this was not taught in youth group growing up. It's probably wrongly assumed that us boys hadn't been exposed to it. Oh, for the yeah, for the porn and stuff. I think like and just looking at their website quickly, I think we need to be braver at speaking about these things in church as well. Like not so embarrassed by them, but actually saying this is the reality of what is really going on, and we need to protect our young people. Even if you haven't got teenagers in your church, we are either parents or grandparents, and this is what's happening in their lives, and it's not like it's so accessible. I think that's the thing. It's so accessible. When I was a teenager, and because we looked at this stuff, we used to go around to my friend's house as a group, and because his dad had videos, and we had to put the counter on, and so the counter's on 000, and we would sit there. A bit weird when you think about it, like 5 or 6 boys watching these videos, and then always stopping because we didn't know when his dad was going to come back and just go in. But in a way, you're all watching the same thing. It's still bad, but you all were there watching the same thing, and it's always for a short time. But now, like kids can go in their room and they got access to whatever, and it always starts off as something, doesn't it? Something small, and it snowballs into something bigger. And I think we need to. I have spoken to people who have gone, I don't want to know this, Dan. I don't want to know. And it's like, but it's a reality. This is happening. Don't deny it. Don't, just because you feel uncomfortable. You need to expose yourself to this. You need to understand this. Saying this to my wife the other day, she started looking at the news on Epstein and what was happening, and she said it was just disgusting. I said, once you know more, but you have to understand this, even if it breaks your heart. And all these things we need to speak about and make sure that our children don't go down the wrong path. I got three things, and I always say this. I said this to her the other day. My three things, which I'd love to have more time for in one way or another, is, well, one is the gospel to be preached. And if it's not preached, or if it's distortedly preached, that's wrong. So not preaching the gospel or preaching a false gospel, because that stops people going to heaven. The second is abortion, because it ends a life. And the third is children being exploited, whether sexually, whether for in jobs, whether abused in different ways, whatever it might be. It's horrendous to such innocent little ones. And those are the three things I would, in that order, that are most important. But to learn what goes on in abortion, you have to understand really what happens, and it's horrendous, and it's disgusting, and it's upsetting. But even though it's upsetting for me, a little baby is being torn apart and their skull crushed. It's going to be far worse for them. And so we need to understand what's happening, and our hearts need to break. And that's such an important thing in Christianity, and in our witness, and in our motivation, is our hearts must be broken to be for God, in the sense to use them more. And you see a lot of people who have got such amazing ministries, their hearts were broken at some point, and they were exposed to something which was beyond what they could cope with, and it changed them. But we need to be able to face that ourselves, but also speak to other people about it, and put them in that uncomfortable position, because it's far less uncomfortable than what those people are going through, I can tell you. Billy's Crafting. What's a PCC? A PCC, it's parochial church council. It's the leadership team of an Anglican church, where people serve for 3 years on. So you're right, a parish church, something. Sunshine Lady, give it popcorn for Lent. Is that your thing? The popcorn. Popcorn's healthier than crisps, aren't they? I think. Elias, Liz. Hi again. On the topic of fasting, what are your views on people for whom fasting from food is physically or mentally unsafe? Then let me read that again. On the topic of fasting, what are your views on people for whom fasting from food is physically or mentally unsafe? Then just don't do it at all. If it's unsafe in any way, then don't even put yourself in that situation. That would be my view. Billy's Craft Room. I'm going to only watch faith-related videos on social media rather than get sucked into the other half. Oh, what do they call it? My son calls it when you... What do they call it when you're just scrolling for... I forgot what they call it, but it's a funny name when you're just there, just scrolling for no reason. Someone can tell. Doom scrolling. Thank you. Doom scrolling. It's such a good name. Such a good name. Like doom scrolling. Such a good name. I think, like, with that, as I said before, I've trained my Instagram. My Instagram is my safe place, where I don't look at any social media to do with my YouTube channel. I don't go to get opinions on there. I do on Facebook, and I do on Twitter, but I don't on Instagram, because Instagram's not really like that. So Instagram, my feed is all stuff that I like, and motorbikes and stuff like that. Motorbikes aren't Christian, but it's something that I like, and it gives me time out of my world to enjoy something. So what I would say is, with the doom scrolling, don't get sucked into that, but still look at stuff that isn't Christian that you really enjoy. That's not a bad thing. Someone 25, talking again at alcohol for Lent and horses and cars in narrow country lanes. A girl in my old class at school was charged with being drunk in charge of a horse when the horse meandered down a country lane with her falling out of the saddle. She was stopped by a passing police car and breathalyzed. Wow, that's crazy. Uh, that's funny because, like, I suppose you are in control of the horse, but the horse is also pretty in control as well, I suppose. Yeah, that's funny. Once you get fine, you can't get any points on the license. Han, always thankful to hear online encouragement spiritually from Christian Worldview. Thank you, Han. I tried to answer. Honestly, I might not get it all right. I try to, and I try to be honoring to God, and it's important. It's important, and I'm also happy to be challenged as well or corrected. I'm not that arrogant, which some people unfortunately are. Richard, I encourage people to fast 1 day a week in Lent. Could be a full day or a partial fast. Omit 1 to 2 meals. Reasons not to fast include health, pregnancy. Fasting should always go with prayer. Absolutely. Like, it's easy to, if you're starting out, you say, well, I'm not going to have breakfast, but I'll have brunch. And that's not cheating in a sense. It's just kind of getting used to it. And then you can go, right, well, actually, now I'm going to go to lunch. I won't have breakfast or brunch. I'll go to lunch just to help. But to be honest, most people in a way, it's when it's in your head. Most people can spend a long time not eating just because they're busy. I think it's it's the boredom, isn't it? And understanding those bad practices that we have. You know, if I walk into the kitchen and I prowl around, my wife is like, dinner's in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like you go, and it's recognizing those bad practices. You could go far longer of not eating. But once you say I'm fasting, it's like 3 hours later, you're like, I'm so hungry. What is that bad practice that you need to change? Billy's Craft Room. Tim Wildsmith has a channel which reviews different Bibles and translations. He encouraged people to read from the several translations to understand more deeply. It's really helped. Yeah, I got a Bible with 4 translations in, and so that it's nice to go to that and see what the different translations say in one place rather than a different Bible. So you can do it that way as well. Russell Valerie, did you study Hebrew or opt out? Just curious, as our vicar opted out, but I thought it was compulsory. Well, where I was at Wycliffe Hall, we started on Greek. And as our lecturer said, some of us were hanging on by our fingernails not to drop off week by week, just trying to get through this class. And I was one of those. But even the guys that were very good at Greek, it's funny how much Greek I retained, actually. It's really funny how much Greek I retained, more than I realized. I also studied Old English at university for a semester, which is also interesting. But not many went on to do Hebrew. They found Greek quite hard. And so only a few went on to do Hebrew. So I opted out. Yeah, I really struggle with languages, unfortunately. Richard, good evening. Sorry, late. No, it's better that you're here, even if you're late. Billy's Craft Room. As a vicar, is it an occupational hazard for weight due to the fact people will be offering you tea and cake on visits? It is an occupational hazard. At Christmas, it can be. I think I said on a Christmas live stream, trying to wait as long as you can before you break the seal of having your first mince pie. But I'm actually quite good if they don't offer cake. If I'm going to parishioner's house, perhaps they will offer cake. And I always will in that sense, because it would be rude not to. But if I'm visiting for a wedding or baptism or funeral, they might offer a drink. If I need a drink, I'll have a drink. But I'll always think what I got after. So if I'm going from house to house, I won't, just because I don't want to have a go to the toilet all the time and things like that. But you have to plan that. But yeah, you don't want to turn down cakes or be rude to everybody. But it can be an occupational hazard. But like everyone at Christmas, you just put on weight as well. Cara, later everyone. Sorry I had to run off, but granddaughter was going to bed. I hope she has a great night's sleep. Billy's craft room. What everyone could do, because it is Billy's craft room. I'm just making sure I got it right. If you could put your business, and I'll just read it out. I will advertise for you if your name is right. Sadly, if people are only getting that one viewpoint about what sex is, it's a shame that more isn't made about love, respect, and relationship rather than reducing things just to an act. Yeah, I was thinking today of that. I don't know why it came up, but when people say, it's okay to sleep around, you get lots of experience and stuff like that. I remember seeing a clip of a video saying, well, why would I want to sleep around? I'm going to get lots of experience by sleeping with one person and who I truly love, and we'll get that experience together. And I was like, nailed it. That is absolutely brilliant. You don't need to sleep around with lots of people. You just need to find the one who you settle down with, and in the safety of that, you will get lots of experience. And how beautiful that would be. Everything's always twisted, but again, let's not forget that the devil's in all this. If only you do this, and if you do that, then. But yeah, it's not an act. It's not just a physical thing. It's an emotional and a spiritual thing. It's far more than that. And joining people together in a way that's so intimate that it is sacred in that way, in that sense. So kids' lives are being destroyed by pornography. The least we can do is talk about it, acknowledge it, and take action to protect them. Maybe that should be. I have thought about this, and I think I did a video years ago talk about those three things. Maybe that how it gets out there. As I said before, if I do an important video on stuff like that, it wouldn't get that many views. But if I did it on, Archbishop Canterbury or something like that, those get views. But then I can't be cynical about that, because I was thinking about this. Even if a video like that got 1,500 views, and you took, like, say, 2/3 out of people just watching it, and you can say, well, there's 500 people who actually care. If you had 500 people in your church building every day, not every day, every week, listening to that and helping them, these are the serious ones. That'd be a real win and a real encouragement. So I got to see it that way. But these things are really, I think, the next generation, how we got to protect them is so important. I listened into a book about trauma, and it's a lot about, how people have been brought up and things that happen to them, and, and how it affects the body. And I kind of realized, you think about every local class, every school, in that class there's 30 kids. There's just so many kids in there that are abused in one way or another. And they don't know, because they're so young, especially at primary school. They don't know. They think this is normal. It's normal for my dad or my brother or, or my mum or to touch me like that. That's what they don't know any different until they get older. And it's happening. And it's happening right now, and I find it disgusting. Cheesy. I just, like, not just because I'm a Christian, it's just, how can someone go into their child's bedroom to do that? Like, I just, like, what? But that is the brokenness of the world. And it's a sadness. That's what shocks me. Like, why would you choose to do that? That's when I struggle with those Christian attributes that God tells me or Jesus tells me that, you just want to whack them, wouldn't you? But you need to pray for them to come to know Jesus in their lives and repent of what they've done, which would be a big thing for them, by the way. Han, a lot of youngsters are very addicted to doom scrolling now, especially over Epstein, while blaming everyone Jewish. And now, sadly, yeah, I saw that. There's a lot of, I haven't really got into it, but a whole lot of Jewish stuff there. I don't know why. Russell Stroke Valerie. I'm frustrated with my vicar regarding abortion. A few of us trying to encourage him to bring up the subject, but it seems to be a problem. I said this to people on when I met my vicar friends on Thursday. I was in a car with my friend. He'd give me a lift up, and I said, if we got this amount of vicars, I have my screen on widescreen in the telephone screen, so if I go like this, a lot of people won't be able to see. So I have to go like this, so they'll be able to see on the little telephone screen. So say we got this many vicars, although you got all those liberals, and my stance on that, they're not preaching the gospel, so we take them out. But as we get smaller, we got the people who will say, yeah, I'm conservative, I'm a traditional Anglo-Catholic, or I'm a conservative evangelical, whatever it might be. But then it does get smaller, because you're like, okay, so who's the ones who are preaching the gospel? Who's the one who's speaking about these big moral issues? And who's the ones who are not being lazy and actually getting out there and doing stuff? Because, and even on our side, it narrows down. And you're right, Russell. 2023, there were just under 300,000 abortions in the UK. Was it England, Wales? Got where it was. And a third of a generation got wiped out before they even had their first breath. And we can't be quiet about this anymore. It just popped into my head, the whole Diocese of London, about the racial justice, and and one way or another, it is important. But again, it comes with Christianity. And I get that in London, it's a diverse mix of people. And so it's not like where I live, where it's predominantly white and, but abortion ends a life. Why aren't they spending £730,000 in a diocese on that, or even £30,000. It's so huge. And you're right. Well, I think it is a problem. It is a problem. We need to speak about these things. Zoe, yes, put the phone down and turn screens off 1 evening a week. Concentrate on scripture and your relationship with God and family, and you'll feel much better. Sunny, Rev Dan, what's your view on a Daniel fast? I never really, I remember the book coming out, and it might even be on my bookshelf, but I never read it. I'm not quite sure what the Daniel fast is. If it's good, no, I don't know. I couldn't answer that. But if it comes out that it's like one of those, 16-8, fast for 16 hours, eat for 8, fast for 20 hours, eat for 4. I think you need to take it slowly. Fast for 12 hours, eat for 12, and then build it up and see how you get on. But I'm not sure what the Daniel fast is. That was like one of the guys, I think it was one of the guys in America. There's a group, wasn't it, who wrote the book, what's his name? Rick Warren, I think it was, wasn't it? Valerie Russell, I got a written warning at work for having a discussion about abortion with a customer. Oof. Wow. Wow. Well, no, I'm not surprised, actually. Yeah. Yeah. You, they wouldn't tolerate that, would they? And that's the thing. It's so normalized to be able to end the life of a child in a womb. That's fine, but it's not okay to speak about that. That's when you're in trouble. That's your line, is it? Like, this is the church needs to speak out more, and we need to stop wasting time with all the other stuff. To be honest, that's why I said those three things, because I think they are absolutely important. If you don't preach the gospel, people are going to hell, or you preach a false gospel. If you kill a child, that's the end of their life. And abusing children in any way is, well, that's what Jesus said. Do not. Do not. Billy's craft room. It's a shame that YouTube doesn't have the options of putting channels into groups or categories so that you can self-filter. Yeah, that'd be good. You can get rid of a lot of, but people, you'd be relying on people to put it in categories then, and they would always put it in categories that they think that they would say, which are right. But I'm surprised YouTube. There's been some videos where I've spoken about abortion and things like that, and I thought I would get warnings, but they didn't. Billy's Crafting, thanks for your helpful replies, Dan. That's good. No problem. Lester, Dan, I want to ask, what are the views of the new Archbishop of Canterbury on abortion? I spoke to a female vicar who isn't young, who told me she wasn't anti-abortion. I think so. The Archbishop of Canterbury actually said, and we need to be fair on this, because I think if we just go along, I don't think we will help ourselves if we say, oh, she's all full abortion, and then actually go and find the interview that she said, well, actually, in certain circumstances. Off the top of my head, I believe that's what she was saying. It was in certain circumstances, not across the board. I think that's what she was saying, but I would have to check that. And I think that's where she is. And I have spoken to vicars who said that they were for abortion. For abortion. Which, when I challenged them theologically on that, they couldn't respond, because you can't. There is no argument that defeats not being against abortion. And it's all about compassion. And so that's the thing. And passion doesn't trump God's word. It's in there, but it's about support, and it's about coming alongside, and it's about speaking about motherhood as well, and the beauty of that. I went to the first ARC conference with the Jordan Peterson setup. That was a couple of years ago now, and there was a charity out there that, we had this little app and you could text each other, and he wanted to meet. And now they were a charity that they weren't against abortion, which is sad, but what they try to do, so I didn't agree with that part, but I agreed with the first part. I absolutely agreed with the first part, and I don't think we do this as well as we should, is to talk about the beauty of motherhood. We don't talk about that. And that's one thing that they did. To try and steer women off from having abortion, they would talk about the beauty of motherhood and the honor of what that is. And I think we need to speak about that in our everyday, not just at the point of people wanting to get abortion, but in our churches and things like that. And we don't. We'll speak about Mother's Day and Mothering Sunday, and of course the church that we came from, and we speak about motherhood, but maybe we need to get deeper, not just on that one day, in the in Sundays talk about the beauty of motherhood and the honor of that. Zoe, I think she needs to repent of her sin. I think Zoe said baby's rights. I think yeah, I think like if you I think to qualify for well, who sets the rules now? But who sets the standards? But for qualifying for Archbishop Canterbury, I think you got to believe what truly what the Bible says. But now we have archbishops and bishops who do not uphold what's been entrusted to them, and yeah. Billy's craft room. I have ADHD and autism. If I get on a hyper-focused time melts and forget to eat, drink for hours, then suddenly the need for the loo will get loud and realize how hungry and thirsty I am. Yeah, that would be a problem. I get the hyper-focus thing. It's crazy. Zoe, I think studying Old English would be useful. KJV. I cannot understand it at all. No, this is Old English. This is going back to Anglo-Saxon Old English. Way before, instead of medieval. KJV. Sunny, I'm a Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, preparing to continue my ministry in the UK. Would you advise me to join or continue my ministry in the Church of England with the current situation now? Well, God bless you and for all that is happening in Nigeria. There's so many people praying for you. Well, for the Church in Nigeria to stay strong. That Catholic priest and some parishioners got kidnapped. I haven't heard the update, but we're praying for Nigeria. I would say, yes, come into the Church of England because we need good people. And the situation in the Church of England is changing, and it will change. The more people that come in with a biblical faith. It sounds stupid, isn't it? Because we should all have a biblical faith. Then it makes the situation stronger. The more people that leave makes it a bit harder. So yes, I would say there's nothing. Whatever has happened around the Church of England and in the national church, the local church is still the same. And whatever happens in the national church doesn't affect the local church. Well, it does in the papers and stuff, but in our church, we are known for what we believe and what we stand on. Han, sorry to ask for us, Dan. Han, you don't need to be sorry. Be sorry. I'll tell you what, Han, here we go. We're on a live stream, and it's okay to ask. You got my permission. It's if you knock at my door at 3 a.m. in the morning to ask a question, then you need to be sorry to wake me up. But have you, random question, have you ever faced or had to fight against blasphemous thoughts in the mind as after reading Puritan sermons, it seems happening even today? You always will get blasphemous thoughts in your mind that you have to ignore and not go down. I think everyone will suffer with that. You just don't entertain them. If they come in, if you see whichever sex you are, pretty woman or pretty man, you think, ooh, nope. Think about something else. You will, or anger. Like I said before, those people who do such things to those young children, I just would want to, but it's like, no, preach the gospel, Dan. Bring them to Christ. Get them to stop. And I would go, but I just want to hit them. No, that's not the right thing. So I think we would all suffer with that in one way or another. I would say just don't entertain them. Don't go down that route. Don't go down that route. GT7, hey Rev Dan, just in from work at Asda. Hope you're well, Andy. Yep, I'm well. I hope you had a good day at work. That it went well. But it's crafting. There is a sweet soul whose channel is Claude Beauty 101, She has really supportive content for people who are struggling with mental health and self-harm. They are a self-abuse survivor? Sexual abuse survivor. Sexual assault. Yeah, well, that's, and I think, when I was talking about breaking hearts before, it's also those things that's done against us that give us our trauma that makes us want to go and help other people. And it's good that they do. Every so often I will speak about my mental health battles that I had when I was younger, with the death of my parents, and still trying to understand it now, and how it's affected and how I've strived. So I think it's amazing how you can strive so naturally to want to lead a good life, and you kind of help yourself without realizing it as well. I think the body and the mind are quite spectacular, but it's good that she's using her tragedy to help others as well. Richard, I posted earlier, recommended A Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster with a link to Amazon, but I think YouTube doesn't show links. It's a brilliant guide to practicing the spiritual disciplines. Yeah. That is a good book. And definitely just go search for it on Amazon. Yeah, do that. That's a good signpost there, Richard. Lester, Dan, I'm giving up feeling sad for Lent when I hear the Spurs result every weekend. Arriba las Espuelas. Yeah, I'm giving up following Aston Villa for Lent because at the moment it's not good for my mental health and my spiritual well-being because they're just not doing well. But yes, let's give up football. It's the American football Super Bowl tonight. My son said he's gonna. Usually the games take about 3 hours, and my son said, but with the Super Bowl and the halftime show, it won't take 3 hours. It could take it to 5, and take it to about 4, half 4. At which point he'll definitely be asleep, and he's at school tomorrow. I think I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow. Sorry, life begins at conception, no exception. Yeah, and that's my argument. My argument to Christians who say they're pro-choice is, at what point did God and man come together? Because the point of God and man come together in Mary's womb changed the universe. It was, if you were at the edge of the universe, and you would know that something's happened. And at what point? If it's not then, in those first few milliseconds, at 3 months, as Jesus came down the birth canal, when did God and man come together? It's only that point. And if God and man come together at that point of conception, that's when life begins. And if you deny that, you deny that God and man came together and Jesus is God and man. And they do. People do. It's crazy. So even if you're a non-believer, science says life begins at conception. You know the funny thing, even as an atheist, when I was an atheist, I was against abortion because I believed that even if we were here by random, it's a life. You'd take away a life, and even in a sense, it adds to it, doesn't it? So if you believe that it's just sheer luck because you don't believe in any God that you are here, and then someone aborts you, that's just like, all that time, all those different people had to meet across all those hundreds of years, and at that particular night to have, nookie and then get pregnant, and then you get the chance to live, and then it's taken away for a decision. When I was at secondary school, so we're talking 30 years now, me and this other girl did this impromptu. It's actually quite amazing when you think about it, that we did this. It was for an assembly, and we had to do, no, not impromptu, an improvised assembly. And what it was is that we were a husband and wife, and we went to a clinic, and we could choose the baby, and what we wanted it to look like, and whether we wanted to be a boy and girl. And so what we would go is like, I think we said we wanted the same color hair, the same color eyes, and then she wanted a girl and I wanted a boy, and then we kind of argued and went opposite ways and stuff like that. And the whole thing was about making babies, and which is obviously here now, but it's also about the choice. And we are now, when they said it was always aborting a baby was the serious health of the mother, I think it is there now that if it's the wrong sex, the baby dies. How can you do that? Like they do that to little chicks when they're born. If they're male chicks, they just get put in a little machine and all the oxygen go and they just die. It's like, well, if you're not and it's usually females not wanted that they get rid of. Zoe, even if, Lester, seriously, what can be done about abortion when that lady or anybody can be arrested for praying within a certain area of a clinic? And I covered this on my channel before, that what's crazy, and this is where they so cross the line, not just the buffer zone around, is they say that if you're in your own house and you're seen, then you could get arrested in your own home because you're in the buffer zone. But God uses all those things, and God bless Isabel Vaughan Spruce, and there was a Catholic vicar up in Birmingham as well, and the major praying for his son, the army guy, because it gets in national news. And I forgot the army guy, but that got over to the States with J.D. Vance, I think, spoke about it when he came to Europe. He spoke about it. So God does use that as well. So it backfired. You put the buffer zones, people went to pray, you arrested them for praying, and now it gets national news. Zoe, it's not good for the women and girls who have abortions either. I've seen it tear at someone's soul viciously. You're right about that as well. And that's such a great thing not to forget about, is the trauma many, many years later. And so many people say this, that the regret many years later that they did that because they didn't really understand at the time. And this is the other thing. A lot of people just don't understand. They just don't understand what really is truly happening because it's so normalized. So normalized. Valerie Russell, Daniel refused to eat meat. I don't know the context, but yep. So sorry about that. Richard, something 16:8 and need to do more in Lent. I think that Daniel fast is a fresh vegan diet. Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay. P3B 16. I think one of the difficulties with talk about abortion is that the details are so utterly horrific in every way that it feels hard to focus on anything else. Sorry, think I have a delay. No problem. Yeah, we have talked about a lot about this. Maybe this is just God using this. It's such an important issue. Lest us suffer little children. Yeah, that's the thing. Billy's Craft Room. I saw an animated film that showed the reality of abortion and, like you say, horrific. I think an abstract concept for some. The line in the Bible, I knitted you together in the womb, got me. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's, people don't want to look at the reality of that. There is a guy he was a doctor who did lots of abortions, and he became a Christian, and now he speaks out against it, knowing what he's done, and what he would carry with that as well would be quite huge. But it is difficult because people look away. I looked away. I didn't want to see it straight away. And I was like, but you have to. The only way that you can learn is to understand. And It's awful. Leicester. Jordan Peterson has a formidable intellect, and you're absolutely right that the beauty of motherhood should be taught. Yeah, and they're so... Yeah, we need to get it all out more mainstream. Like this charity that I talked to were really, really great. But how do you get it out more mainstream? I see lots of little faces and hearts and things going off. That's really, that's really great. That's really cool. Thank you for doing that. Billy, no, Zoe, Zoe, I've heard some awful stories when aborted baby is still alive and they basically killed. It's horrifying. Yeah. P3B. I'm just gonna say P3. P3. Do you have any thoughts on Amy, Anglican Mission in England? Yeah. I did a video on it actually. Saying basically if you can't stay in the Church of England and you feel that you can't stay in the Church of England, then go to Amy or Ace. Yeah, I think they're really good. I think they're really biblical. I prefer people stay in the Church of England and fight and contend, but some people just on good conscience can't. So I think they're very good places to go to. Billy's Craft Room. Who was it that recently said you don't get off the bus because you don't like the driver? You stay on the bus because it's taking you where you want to go. Was it you? No, not that. I'm not that intelligent. That's really good. I like that. Yeah, someone might have that. Leicester. Isn't it only Ned Flanders in Springfield who would ring Rev Lovejoy at ungodly hours? Yeah. Yeah, my phone's on silent. It's only certain numbers that can get through. Han, thanks for your reply, Rev Dan. Yes, have to admit there's a lot of provocation and anger being farmed and engineered on purpose nowadays, not helped by the media in general. That's the other thing we got to fight. We got to fight for truth and understanding truth. So Billy Craffing, think I might have a spiritual attack last night. Had the worst dream about all the digital surveillance and implants. I grabbed my Bible and prayed the Lord's Prayer over and over. Was scared, and that's the right. Absolutely, that's the right thing to do. That's one of the strongest reactions is grab your Bible and pray. Absolutely, that's yeah. You're doing the right thing there. What have I forgot? Why have I got your names now? Oh dear. Bronze ICD. Sorry, it's I've gone back to normal. Abortion. Swap out the B and the R to D and P respectively. It spells adoption. Ah, yeah. I never known that. Oh yeah. You're right. Leicester. There is a Roman Catholic priest, Father Dan Rehill on YouTube, who has a fascinating background and has come to the priesthood quite late after not ostracizing. Yeah, okay, you guys can read it. I can't read it. His faith for 22 years. I'll have a look at. It's got a very good first name, Dan. I'm just gonna see what he looks like. Wow, and he's got 72,000 subscribers. You know, I tell you what, the Catholics do really well. They do better than the Anglicans for we got more people to reach for what you get it so much better than the Anglicans for the subscribers. But that still won't make me Catholic. I lost my Billy's Craftman. The man was arrested for praying for his son who was aborted. Did not survive prison. He died by suicide in there. Feels like there's so much evil in the world right now. No, he didn't, did he? What's his... Really? No, I thought he's still... I never heard that. What's his name? I forgot his name. I remember the photo with his head down. He didn't survive, did he? Can anyone remember his name? Russell. We've met them all locally as we have an abortion clinic in our parish. Oh, right. So you should remember their name. Palva. Oh, that was me doing the hearts. Oh, that's my daughter. She's on my wife's computer. Oh, hello. That's you spamming. Well, that's okay. They're still going. Zoe, they isolate you and they don't let you leave. JKK, there's a guy at church who looks like Ned Flanders and is very keen to introduce Extinction Rebellion to the church. Oh, don't. I thought they'd gone. They are so pagan. It's crazy. Do not allow that in church at all. Nick, I had a female acquaintance ask me when she found out that Roe versus Wade, universal access to abortion to the US, was overturned, if I would get a vasectomy to stand in solidarity. Whoa! What? Crazy. Whoa. Oh, not okay, Lester, not practicing for the Roman Catholic priest. Oh, okay. Sunny, thanks for your reply, Rev Dan. Would like to know the best way to discern whether the Church of England would be the preferred route to continue ministry as clergy from the Church of Nigeria. Please recommend. Okay. Thanks for your reply. Would like to know the best way to discern whether the Church of England would be the preferred route to continue ministry as clergy from the Church of Nigeria. Please recommend. Sonny, I'm going to put my email address in. Do email me. It's very specific. I can't spell my. And I will email you back. I won't say that I'll email you back straight away because I just remembered I had to email back someone from last week and I did it just before. I saw their email, but I just didn't get around to it. So I'm not the quickest. What is Extinction Rebellion? Extinction Rebellion was a group of people who said that the planet is going to die within the next 10 years or something like that. I think it hasn't happened yet. Russell Valerie, that's right, isn't it? I've met him and he's alive and well. Oh, good. That is, yeah, that was a worry. No, they're good people. They're good people. I think like we should go and get a whole group. We should have a Rev Dan's meetup outside an abortions clinic and just pray. Or get arrested. I think if I got arrested, they would give me the excuse to get me out. Han, another question if I can ask Rev Dan. How would you answer professing Christians or conservatives that kind of mock or feel preachy the gospel of Jesus isn't enough? Okay, let me get my head around that. How would I answer professing Christians or conservatives that mock or feel that preaching the gospel of Jesus isn't enough? And while I think of that, my daughter says, everyone do the smiley faces. Look, everyone do the smiley faces. It just must be there. Just do. How would you... and Hannah, I'm trying to get my head around this. How would I answer professing Christians that mock or feel that preaching the gospel isn't enough? Well, it is enough. I would just tell them that it's the only thing. I think I said this before. It's the only thing. It's what we have that God's given us is the Bible. And so if you're not preaching that and what we have and what Jesus told us, then yeah, you ask further. Continue asking this as noticing more younger Gen Z people, especially on the political side, say this as a mantra. They feel they need to take control of the culture and government. Okay, so but the younger generation are brought up in such a different way, aren't they? And again, I was speaking about this with someone, how they see the world, and try and help them to drop some of the things. They've been brought up in such an indoctrination of their time. Think about it, in schools, it was all political and it was all LGBTQ stuff. I've been in like my especially the secondary school, my son's secondary schools, and just seen it all plastered around. And they say, and so indoctrinated by these things, it's helping them to understand why Christianity is different and why it is absolute in some ways. I suppose that's one thing that they kind of get an absolute mentality in one way or another, but it's all on ideologies that are wrong. And they've always been taught like things like Christianity aren't true. I'm not sure if I'm going down the right thing there, but again, I would come back that the Bible was given to us by God, and that's the revelation of God to humankind, recorded, and that if you weren't preaching the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ based upon that, then what? I'm not against living your life in such a way that it shows Christ to the world, but yeah, hopefully I got that right. I don't think I quite got what you were saying, but hopefully, if not, then just expand again. Yusuf, take it, support message just to unite for that. Do you think that kid's going to get his haircut? He's going around on the internet because he was saying, I'm going to get my haircut when Man United win 5 games in a row. And I think they're on game 4, aren't they? So, yeah, I would never take it Man United. No, couldn't do that. So, Billy Catherine, I get why the Bible people full of the Holy Spirit have fire coming out of their heads. Feel short way at that moment. Also a bit like just full, like those inflatable people on TV advert for insurance. Simo, I think that it's not just preaching the gospel, but living it as well. I've seen too many preachers say one thing and doing another, sadly. Again, I think that comes back to what we were saying very early in the live stream, is if you truly believe this, then your life should reflect that. We're not going to be perfect. We will make mistakes, but in general, in the everyday things, it should reflect that. Russell, his name is Adam Smith Connor. That's it, Adam Smith Connor. Absolutely. Han, it doesn't help that certain young, restless and reformed, professedly pastors online are very vocal about wanting some kind of absolute Christian theocracy, and it appeals to youngsters online. Okay, so let me see. I've seen, so I'm just checking something. I think, Han, comes out from where youngsters are at the moment. And I think, yeah, I've heard a young, restless and reformed. But absolute Christian theocracy is, I think this is why I keep ending my videos with, we live in the world, not of the world. And when we become Christians, we belong to the citizen of heaven. And yet we are not, heaven will come at a different point, but we are, like Jesus said, the kingdom of God has come near, and the way that we live our lives, the way that we preach the gospel, but live our lives every day, it brings the good into the brokenness of the world. Now, where it gets quite political in this is not something, is a bigger question. And you might make me get another video, but just controlling it in such a way, I don't think it's actually helpful, and it's not a witness. It would become it would I'm just reading what you said before. We are a minority, and the gate is narrow, and it's always been said that. And so we're not going to become a Christian nation, and everyone's going to get to heaven. It's not going to happen like that. We don't take over governments and then everyone becomes Christian. It's not going to happen. And you could end up in a dangerous situation where there's more cultural Christianity than true Bible believing Jesus is my Lord and Savior Christianity. We know that faith is an individual's encounter with Jesus and saying who he is. It's like my children. They're not Christians because of association by me. Oh, he's the rector, so they must be Christian. No, they're not. Until they profess that Jesus is their Lord and Savior, they're not Christian. And so this whole thing of, if we make the whole of England or Great Britain, if we can get the government and we can do all this, that everything is going to be happy and fine. It won't, because it was never, Jesus never said that. And when we go down that route, and when people go down that route, I think it's quite tied up in how they've been brought up as well. And it's a kind of kickback to that. And so there's a lot of untangling. That's kind of off the top of my head, but I think it's something there. And went on to say, even on Christian forums and social media with Christian-based groups, the aggressive religious nationalistic theocratic ideology is very pernicious, with comments slandering each other. And I've done videos where I spoke out against Christian nationalism. I don't think it's good or healthy. I think, again, you'll end up with a cultural Christianity and all those things that I've just said. We will not have a nation of Christians. The gate is narrow. But also, Christian nationalism forgets it's about let's make our country great again. What about the rest of the world? The gospel's for the world and for the nations, for all nations. Not just for the West or for our country. It's great that our countries and the West were built on Christian foundations, and it's made them great for many years. But let's not kid ourselves. It's not been great for, when people say, let's go back to the past. Like which past? Do you see yourself as Lord of the Manor, not the person who work in the fields and have got a pretty hard life, who's doing the hard jobs? No, nobody ever sees themselves as the one who is really struggling and has got really bad illnesses and can't go to the doctors and, have to yank out their own teeth. And no one ever sees themselves as that. They go, let's go back to the past. And they see themselves as the ones, Lord and ladies, what. And only few were like that. But the gospel is for all the world. That's what Jesus came for. So, we need to be careful. Of that. I'm just reading down. And understood Rev Dan, because whenever older Christians tried admonishing these youngsters, they would lash back, insulting and cussing back as their older brethren as weak and effeminate. Oh God, yeah. Well, this is what's going around on the internet as well, masculine Christianity, and it just needs to be challenged in a loving way, not in a horrible way. I keep hearing this. Yes, Christianity is masculine. Yeah, I get that. You see elements of Jesus Christ being masculine, and in the Gospels there is a masculine element, but there also is a feminine element. You could call it effeminate. They use it in a derogatory way. But Jesus, at one point he could be turning over the tables in the temple of the money changers, and another point touching the untouchables and being kind to them. And so there's righteous anger there, but there's also grace and compassion, and these are opposite attributes. So what they need to understand is what do you call it? What they need to understand is that it's not just one. It's not just, you can't say, oh, it's all this masculine Christianity. You're going to be wrong. And the reason I go on about this is because they will one day stand in front of the judge. Sorry, someone's just drove down the street outside, beeping their horn like as they went past. This is Chaffin St Giles. That stuff don't happen. They will stand before the judgment seat of Christ and have to answer for all this, and I will as well. Again, that's why I took that time off last year and really trying to understand truth and grace, because Jesus came with truth and grace, two different attributes, and that's what I'm called to do as well. And that's why I changed the way that I speak online, and because that's exactly that. So, but that is where these kids are, and that's the whole Christianity at the moment. And it just needs to gently have a conversation, and challenge, So you got a masculine Christianity. So, well, how do you explain Jesus acting like this then? What's that then? Lester, Dan, here's a suggestion. How about you having a chat with Jacob Rees-Mogg? I think it would be very gentle and watchable. I met Jacob Rees-Mogg. I was going to say I met Jacob, but I don't know him that well. I was on his TV show on GB News. I went down to the studio and was chatting to him about. It was after Trump they nearly got assassinated, and we was talking about a miracle. We was talking about miracles. That guy's intelligent. It'd be fun. He's very Catholic. Very Catholic. He said to me after, when the adverts went on, something about praying to a Catholic saint. I was like, yeah. Billy's craft room. Maybe they are planting a seed, and if they come through the church, it's a start. But that's the thing as well. God uses all this. That is the thing. They might plant a seed, or they will plant a seed, and people can come to church. But they also need to get their theology right, as we all need to get our theology right. Zoe, I would like to see Christian teaching back in schools and government, because our government has no morals anymore. I thought that meant I was a Christian nationalist. No, it's not. But again, like, you can say we want Christian teaching in school, in schools, but who's teaching it? And if it's not a Christian, what's being taught? Let's get the church rallied and to do what the church is supposed to do. Poor Wayfarer, I read recently that faith and belief are different, along the lines of faith is putting into practice or acting upon the belief in God. Yeah, that's good. Psalm 125, Christian nationalism puts one country in the place of Christ. One's country can easily become an idol. Absolutely. Russell, Adam was in the military many years after his child was aborted. He had a terrible nightmare where he was hacking to death his own baby. Whoa. That is why it's such a big issue for him. Wow. Billy's crafting. Ooh, who said that line recently? We are sitting down at tables we should be turning over. Can't remember who said it. That's a good line. I like that line. Lester said, the Doppler effect. Han, thanks for the feedback. Rev Dan was recalling more of this. It seems similar to the situation in the Old Testament. Rehoboam's day siding with friends over the elders. I think to be honest, I think, in life and in politics and in the church, I think, and what I have to hold on to, when things reset themselves, when they will go one way, they will, as much as they went one way and it's all really bad that way and we totally disagree, the reaction is for it to come back, and it won't come back to a normal place. It will go over here, and those voices will be quite loud and quite strong, and a lot of people will agree, and then after a while they go, well, what is this? And people will look, or people get tired of hearing the same old rhetoric and things like that, and then it'll start coming back. It'll start coming back into a normal thing. And I think you kind of see that with Andrew Tate and things like that, with the toxic masculinity that started going on about. I think, well, actually, when there's a vacuum, people will fill it. But then after a while, people will just, it's all kind of exciting for a short while. And it's like, yeah, this is right. Yeah, speak it, brother, you know. And then after a while, it will just start coming back because people can't maintain that. And they start to educate and realize, well, you know, it says this and they're not saying that. So I think it's not a hugely bad thing, because I think it'll one day come back to a normality and people will walk into church. It's just that God's got to raise up those people to be able to speak to people and be ready for them. Russell Valerie, the other local lady who was arrested is Olivia Irick. I remember that. Adam was fined 10,000 and she was fined £20,000 for praying. What a crazy world we live in. JKK, a guy in my home group says that he believes Christianity is true, but it's not a joy. That's a journey. I think it can be difficult, but I think, you know, one day he will find a joy even in the midst of the difficultness sometimes. So that's a good point about schools. That's why people need to talk. Ideas need to be tossed around. Yeah, exactly. This is what this is, isn't it? It's what God's using all this for. Lester, I'm Catholic too, and when I feel down or afraid, as Father Vincent Lampard, the American exorcist, said, I roll out the big gun and say a Hail Mary. Father Vincent is also on YouTube. All the best fathers are. I'm not a father, I'm a rev. I'm a rev. Psalm 125. Poor Adam, the dear man must have been so tortured in his mind. Yeah. So it's not just the women as well, is it? It's the men. Juliet, Dan, I'm getting sleepy. Wasn't there some news you had for us? You're right. We're just chatting. Okay. So it's 10 o'clock. Oh, it's 10 o'clock, 2 hours. Right. So the news is I spoke with Father Matthew about the motorcycle trip around Europe, and that is definitely going to happen. We're going around Anglo-Catholic, evangelical. We are getting the details. So I'll speak about this more, but it's very exciting. So at the end of July, we'll be going and all of August to see these Marian sites. He's an Anglo-Catholic, believes it. I'm an evangelical, and I'm skeptical of it. And we will have conversations. We'll have motorbike rides. But where I was thinking, because we haven't spoken for so long, are we going to do it? We definitely are. And so that's the news. So there'll be lots of planning, and we will put it on YouTube. But that is, so hopefully that's good. Wait till I didn't build it up too much, but that is that's the news. Okay, we'll go into land, because you're right, after 10 o'clock. God, time goes really fast doing this. Nick, do I have any opinions of Restore Britain founded by Rupert Lowe? No, because I haven't seen that. I will look at that. I don't know what that is. I know who Rupert Lowe is, but I'm not sure what Restore Britain was. Billy's crafting side quest. How do we put on the armor of God? Ephesians. It's in Ephesians. Lester, God bless. God bless you. Han, thanks for the encouragement, advice, Rev Dan. Great for the spiritual encouragement. No problem. Psalm 125. It's nearly 10 p.m. 2 hours of good chat, fellowship, prayer, discussion. Yep. Silver Rockstar, 1984, communists did the same. I recall Bibles being smuggled into the USR. Yep. Yeah. Lots of Bibles. Lester, you do make smile, Dan. Let's hope we all have a good week. Yes. Yeah. Billy's crafting. I got PTSD from witnessing Catholic last rites on hubby. Ugh. It's not what you see on TV. It was for his mum, who was Catholic. Was sorry about that happened. Silver Rockstar, I had a funny feeling you will have a positive experience and vision. Bless. Silver Rockstar, I have a funny feeling you will have a positive experience and vision. Bless you. On the trip around, I will have all you Catholics on my live stream will be praying for me to encounter Mary. Dorothy, good evening. Guys, good evening. We're just about to go. Dorothy, thanks for joining us. Maybe you're on the catch up. And so on Rockstar night. Richard went over. Good night and thank you. Yeah, it will be. It's going to be over now. I'm going to get to the end screen and do this professionally. Thank you so much once again for joining. It's been a pleasure as always. Have a great week. And as Billy says, God bless everyone and peace be with all of you. Bye.